Like, this is a crazy tool. Like, I feel like a lot of people are going to start using this.
100%. Welcome, everyone, to the Select All podcast, episode 14. I can't believe we're at 14 episodes. Thank you all for watching. Really appreciate it. Today we have a similar podcast to last week. We don't have Ali and Tran with us, but we have myself, the coding nerd, and I love everything programming. I program on my free time. And we have Mo, the grumpy engineer, who will actually stare you down if you write bad code. All right. So today we have, as similar to our last episode, we have one product hunt thing and one what's hot segment, right? And so those are the things that we're going to be covering today. We have interesting stuff today. I'm fairly excited to talk about some of these topics today. First I'll kick it off. I'm going to be talking about Trigger.dev. I don't know if you've heard about this before, Mo, other than the fact that I showed you before. But
I mean, I do have the memory of a goldfish, so there's that.
Trigger.dev. I actually came across this today, which is, and I found it interesting. So I worked with Zapier a little bit before, actually very recently. Excuse me. And it was interesting because Zapier is fairly easy to use, right? It integrates with a bunch of different products, and you can actually take a lot of information, and the triggers are fairly comprehensive from system to system. But I found this interesting because it's like developer first, especially if you're in this world. Zapier is a bit more easier to kind of handle. I haven't really worked with this, but it seems like this allows you to trigger some of these things within code, right? So it's very close to the code that you want it to do, and you want external systems. What do you think about this?
So is this just a glue between different trigger to an action? Like, it's watching one stream for a change, and then when it detects whatever, it will trigger, I guess, other actions via API.
Exactly. So I think what happens is, and we could take a look at the examples, but you integrate with some of these things, and you can set off a workflow, but trigger it from your code instead of having a trigger from one system to another. Does that make sense?
You lost me there.
Yeah, so let me give you an example.
Why don't, for our listeners, why don't you give us an example of how you'd use it in a project?
Yeah, so I will. Yeah, so for right here, they give an example of Slack when post to Slack when a GitHub issue is created, right? So it has kind of listening to the GitHub API. If an issue is created, it will then go ahead and post to Slack at a certain channel, right? Now, Zapier is a bit more. You would do this kind of integration on their platform and like figure it out so that you can integrate with this one GitHub portion, and then you integrate the Slack component as well, and you'd configure the whole end-to-end workflow from there. Whereas here, all that's being done within code, right? And so I'm able to create this trigger, listen to it, and kick it off from my code, and then go ahead and do other things, right? So let's say I don't really have to take care of external systems per se, right? My code can do things, and I can set up external workflows that are happening and set them up over here, and basically extract out some of that functionality that I don't really need within my core app. Does that make sense?
So if I understood the difference between this and Zapier, was that in Zapier, you have to set up different workflows, and they're not like, you don't see the whole view of it. Like, you would set up a workflow for GitHub. Once GitHub notices this, you do that, and then you have to set a separate one for Slack, where it's like, if this happens, then do this on Slack, and then.
No, not necessarily. You can do it. You can still do the same type of workflow on Zapier. that's
Mm-hmm.
being done here. However, everything's configured within their platform. Whereas here, it's done within code. So like, let's say my code is running, I'm doing certain things. I can now trigger a workflow that's not really related to my code, but I want to configure that workflow externally, and they already have the components for it. It would allow me to kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Segregate the functionality from my core app, where I know something like this could help.
Gotcha. So, like, basically, you would push code that does the automation, but it's not a part of your app
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
Okay.
So actually, I'll give you an example. So, for instance, let's say we were creating an app, and every time a user signed up, right, we wanted to know somehow, right? And now what I can do is I can set up some sort of email that's sent to you, right? And that email is sent, and we basically integrate the email sending, all that kind of stuff within our app, right? Using some sort of like SendGrid API, right? And configure the email and all that kind of stuff, all within our app. Or I can basically say, here's the JSON object to Trigger.dev, and then say, okay, send the email, and then create a Asana like role, and then create an issue on GitHub all at the same time. And it's very easy to configure on here versus trying to configure that within the application code using Java or something like that.
Mm,
It would require 3 different integrations of APIs, which aren't really required and are not providing immense value right away, right? Whereas this already has the infrastructure to do all that kind of stuff.
interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, send me a Slack message when a new user signs up. It's like me writing that code in Java, sure, like I could do it, but why go through the heavy lifting when all of this heavy lifting is done here?
Send me a Slack message when someone updates their PR.
Yeah, exactly. I think, and that is like fairly common, but we don't do it, right? Like I'm sure there's Slack bots for that.
Yeah. Sometimes like a PR will go like a day or two, and someone's like, "Wait, dude, like you need to review this." I'm like, "Shit."
Yeah, that it's funny because when you said that, I was like, "That's so true." Because I always have to send the email or messages now recently to my team and be like, "Hey, like I updated APR, take a look."
I don't know why Microsoft hasn't prioritized this, but like trying to understand reviews you're like actually interested in is so hard. Like, sorry, this is totally different from this, but I guess we got a time. But yeah, it's like, dude, just like if I commented on or reviewed something and someone updated it, like make that like the top most thing I see on my review pile, because clearly like I'm
Yes.
interested in this PR.
Yep. Exactly. But there are filters. Have you used those filters on GitHub?
There's filters, but it doesn't tell you like if I don't know. I maybe I haven't configured it if it's like the PR is updated or like is it
Right.
is like are you notifying me about this because I'm part of the team that can approve this, or are you
Mm,
notifying me because like I was tagged in the review or I commented and I need to
right.
follow up on the review? Like there's
Right. Right. Right.
it's just weird. Like that's why I think people just message you because it's faster.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. So what we have is, because our team's fairly small, it's about 4 or 5 people. What we do is I've created different labels, right? So I'll be like, when I'm done the review, I will say, okay, requesting changes, right? And that'll be or requested changes, and that'll be one label. And then once they're done with the changes, they take that label off and put ready for re-review or something, right? Or if there's conflicts, then to the main branch, and then we have a label for just fix conflicts, right?
Yeah.
So that people know like what is this stage, what's going on with this PR at a very high level, just from the list, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that works, but I think on a large team it's unscalable because like you'll get tagged from other teams, and who know, God's not going to make them stick to your convention. So like,
yep,
kind of
that's fair. No, 100%. It's a very difficult thing, especially when you're trying to scale teams, and you're across the board. Do you have a mono repo, like it's all across Oh, every single team has a single.
We have one large mono repo, so everything goes into that one repo. But then we
Mm,
also have 100 other repositories that do a lot of random shit. Like I haven't taken a look.
interesting. Yeah. Like I believe I read this article where Google actually does that. Every single project that Google ever had is in a single repo, and you have to check out the whole repo to work on anything. And I don't know how that works, but it's a very interesting concept. Yeah.
Yeah, it has its advantages, but I guess there are some weirdness to mono
100%.
repos.
100%. 100%. All right. Yeah, but I find this interesting. In just conclusion, I think I would probably use this to do a lot of the heavy lifting of things that I know aren't part of the main app and just other integrations with
Mm-hmm.
separate products that already exist. So they already have the
Or
infrastructure for it.
automation.
Why not? Yeah, exactly. For automation of business in general.
Or
Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was gonna put in a plug. If you guys know anyone that is looking to automate parts of their workflow, reach out to us.
Yeah,
Eh, we can definitely take a look. We got
we can definitely assist for sure.
yeah.
All right. We yeah. So we have that. Next, Mo, for what's hot. Do you wanna share what we
Yes.
have on the docket?
Not sure if a lot of our listeners have seen this, but I've definitely seen this, and it is quite crazy. Basically, NVIDIA has updated their NVIDIA a graphics tool or whatever to allow like during webcam or meetings and such to have an AI filter that will make it look like you're always looking into the webcam like this.
Yeah,
I don't have an AMD webcam, or sorry, I don't have an NVIDIA graphics card, so I don't have this feature. But like, this is a crazy tool. Like, I feel like a lot of people are going to start using this.
100%,
Like, it's
100%.
so. I mean, I guess you have to train yourself to like look at this because the main content of my screen is here or like
Right
here, so that's why I'm never looking right here.
at
But
the yeah. My God, I when I saw this, I was blown away. It's kind of like I was blown away, but I wasn't that. It's like 50-50 because of Snapchat and all the things that had been going on for a while
mhm,
now. I was like, oh wow, like um, it came kind of from there, but they've done a really good job because like Snapchat and all these other things are just kind of fun and all that kind of stuff. But it seems like it's very good at making it look like it's your eyes looking
yeah.
directly at the camera,
At
which is
first I'm
insane.
like, this is crazy. And then the second thought was like, why wasn't this released earlier? Like we've had a ridiculous amount of like background and like object filter. Like right now my Mac does like the portrait effects, right? I don't know
Right.
if that removed the portrait. Yeah, see like
Yep.
that we have that, but like I feel like this is a lot better. Why didn't they focus on this first?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the difficulties would be like with portrait mode, it's kind of like most things are still, and I guess you are moving. That's fair. But
Like
eyes are probably very
yeah,
hard.
yeah, that's fair. But it clearly can detect what a
Movement.
human
Yeah.
body is, and like it's not blurring this out.
Good point.
So
Good point. Yeah, no, I was shocked. I was like, this is going to change the game for all content creators, right? Especially
content,
all content
bro. I'm
creators,
thinking
yeah.
about my stand-ups. It's not gonna look like I'm looking somewhere else, distracted.
Honestly, that's so true. Because half my meetings, I'm listening, but I'm doing my work,
Yeah.
right? I'm actually concentrating on my work as well.
The next
Um,
SBF will use this tool while he's playing League of Legends. Like.
honestly, and then they won't fund him because they think because they think he's paying attention.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
that's funny. Wow, but yeah, this is a very good find. Nvidia, amazing work. Good on you guys. I think there's gonna be more and more of this, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we'll see how this plays out. All right. That's it for today, guys. Really appreciate you guys checking in.
We still got one quick segment we forgot last episode, but we end of the episode before that was, do you collect any physical NFTs, or like, do you collect anything?
Yes, you're right. Do you want to go first? Because I got to think about this.
Yes, I was prepared for days. I collect these guys. The legend himself. This is a Shaggy CD.
No way.
Yeah,
That's awesome. You collect CDs. I did not know about that about you. That's awesome. How
yeah.
many do you have?
Honestly, at this point, I have quite a collection. Maybe like 30, 40.
Wow.
They're pretty. Honestly, it's a lot cheaper than vinyl, and the quality is better, I guess. Yeah, you go down to like your local like thrift store, and they have hundreds of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun.
That,
Sometimes you
yeah.
discover you see a lot of classics.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. No, that's a really cool. Cool. I have a friend who collects vinyls as well. Actually, he has a whole collection and a record player and everything. That's a pretty cool hobby as well. I unfortunately no don't collect many things. Probably like HDMI cables because I have too many of them and I always keep finding them. But no, nothing really. I don't really collect anything, and that's funny
No
because it's like
NFTs.
yeah, exactly. Because I'm like I would probably collect digital things. But you're right. I don't collect any physical NFTs. Yeah. So my answer is a bit boring, but yeah, hopefully I get into the digital NFT game one day. All right. So now we are officially ending the episode. Thank you, Mo, for that question. I don't know if you have another one. Do you have a
um, I feel like, I guess not, since we were talking about like the NVIDIA like AI thing. Like, what other improvements would you like to see in terms of, I guess, improving video calls, now that we have, it's been known we can change how we look and interact virtually? What other tools do you think would arise that would help
Hmm.
virtual, like facilitating virtual conversations and connections?
Yeah, very good question. I want to answer it right now, but I'll wait till next episode, and then we can dig deep on that one. For the third time, I think we will end it now.
It's a
Thank
Lord
you
of the
everyone
Rings
for listening.
episode.
Exactly. Thank you for listening. If you made it this far, really appreciate you not disconnecting the first two times. And yeah, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. Like and subscribe. That really does help us. We would really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time and have a great day.
Peace out.